Hi, this is Landon Armstrong, and this is going to be a 30-minute process video on my digital sketch of Sam Kieth's The Maxx. This video has been sped up by 400% and will show my basic workflow when doing a simple line art sketch in Photoshop. As you can see, I've gathered a couple pieces of reference art that I'll keep in the upper right hand corner, and I'll be using a basic round brush with pressure sensitivity, and that's it. So I started off by drawing some basic shapes, trying to build the form. I'm wanting to draw the Maxx in his Outback version, and you can see me blocking in the necklace here, trying to get the head and hair shape right. My brush size is at 4 pixels, by the way. Scale it down a little bit. I've decided at this point I'm gonna draw his iconic claw, blocking in his biceps, forearm. And again, I'm just trying to build my shape and composition, so really big blocky forms. And again, I'm flipping my image back and forth to check my composition and anatomy. If my image looks good, no matter what direction it's facing, it tells me that my anatomy and form is spot on. Now I'm starting on the basic line work, and you can see when I draw, I got this, I can't remember where I learned it, but I know the last person I heard talking about it is a animation character designer named Steven Silver. And whenever I draw, I try to draw through. I'm never trying to make my ends meet up precisely, and I know this makes me have to go back and erase a lot of stuff, but it gives me a really nice strong sense of line work and has my shapes follow through whenever I'm blocking out my forms. So again, I draw through a lot. I was having trouble with his muzzle here, or his teeth, and you just saw me use the pen tool to get that edge precisely the way I want it. And if you draw a path, select your brush tool and press enter, Photoshop will run your brush along that path. I decided I didn't want him to have jowls, and now I'm building out the shape of his jaw. What's fun is Sam Kieth's artwork is very, has a lot of exaggeration to begin with, and is extremely stylized. And so when you're drawing those type of characters, it gives you a lot of area to explore and have fun and create. You'll see as I spend a lot of time blocking out the shoulders, and I know they're not strictly anatomically correct, but that's kind of not what I was going for. I had the overall shape that I wanted, so I'm trying to force the muscles into that shape and get something that's somewhat believable. And if you have a strong character design, or if you have a strong composition or a strong sense of scale and proportion with your character, you can get away with this stuff. As you can see, I'm struggling with the shoulders a bit and trying a lot of different variations to find shapes and forms that I feel are going to work for the overall design. Here I am using the pen tool to give me just a nice clean arch between it for his clavicle and help me block in the top of his pecs. Now that I have his clavicle defined, I have to adjust some of the neck muscles that I put down earlier. Now you can see me move my cursor, exploring, like in my head, exploring different shapes and lines that I want to put down to try to build his upper arm. Throwing in his triceps. That's my mom trying to make an appearance. Hi, Mom. Again, I'm just building out the basic form right now. I'm not worried about line width and variation. I'm not worried about shading. I'm trying to get a clean line sketch of my character here, and this is the foundation. Once I get this established, we get to go in and do all the fun stuff. Here I am exploring different knuckle shapes. Again, I can't stress the importance of learning to draw faces and hands. If you can master hands and faces, you have a majority of the battle won. I drew the hand on a different layer, so knowing that I was probably going to have some difficulties with it and want to mess around, then it allowed me to grab it and scale it to the size that I thought was appropriate for the piece. Spend a little time here exploring different shapes and ways that I could exaggerate the forearm. The Maxx is kind of like a combination of Wolverine and Popeye the Sailor Man. So the huge hulking forearms are a very important element of the character. You can see I'm using the rotate tool a lot. Once you do a lot of life drawing, hopefully you'll learn what type of hand movements and pencil strokes that you are strong with. I feel most confident starting from the bottom left hand corner and drawing to my upper right hand corner of my canvas. You can see me use the pin tool here to block in the Maxx's feather necklace. Right now I'm just adjusting the path, and what I'll do is I'll get the path how I want it first, then I'll stroke that a few times, and then I'll move the path that I have there just so slightly, adjust it a little bit and stroke it again, and it's a quick way to get pretty precise lines over large areas of your drawing. Here you can see me close the ends of the necklace so I can turn off all my other layers, make a quick selection around the necklace, and then turn on the rest of the layers and delete everything underneath the necklace layer. And this is just a quick, easy way of clearing out all the pixel data that I don't want there to be anymore. I'm using the line work of the necklace layer to be a quick selection mask. Now comes the fun part of the piece, drawing the tedious feathers and knots holding them to his necklace. Again, this is a 4 pixel size brush. You can see me right here to save a little bit of time. Copy the end of that one feather and move it because I know his mouth is going to cover the base of his neck, the rest of his necklace at that point. I could quickly copy an end over, manipulate it a little bit, and save me the time of having to draw something from scratch. I'm drawing the feathers and the knots that hold them onto the necklace on a layer above the necklace layer, so I can quickly just select the layer underneath and erase the necklace out from under it. It's one of the great advantages of working digitally, is being able to separate elements and adjust them until you're ready to combine them and make it one piece. You can see what I did earlier with the necklace. I'm doing it again with the feathers, is I'm making it to where they're one solid shape, one I can select around them, and then that way I could easily delete all the layer information underneath them. And again, just using my line art as a quick select mask. Now we get to start on the fun stuff, the hair. You can see I rotated my canvas again so I could get those nice fluid strokes. With hair, it's always best to block out the major shapes first, then go in and add your fun little details. You see I'm doing the hair on a separate layer above all the other line work. That way I can draw my hair, refine it the way I want, then erase everything underneath it so I don't have any lines mixing that I don't want to. Here I'm going through and erasing the body line art and all the other line art that I don't want to show underneath the hair. Now I'm finishing up the necklace and adding all the small little rope details. And at this stage I have the line work complete. This is all, again, 4 pixel size brush. I'm not looking for any size variation or line weight variation just yet. That's the part I'm going to be moving on to now. Once I get to this point, I collapse all my line work down to one layer, create a new layer on top of it, and now you can see I'm starting to go with a thicker brush. This is bouncing between 10 to 8 pixels, and I'm going to start addressing the outline of the shapes first and then moving inward as needed. The thing to keep in mind while adding line weight to a piece is your line weight is an indicator of depth and shadow. And as you can see, as I work on this area between his hair and his head, I'm making the line get thicker to where it's going over the hair. And this is telling the viewer that the line of the head is casting a shadow onto the hair, so it's pushing the hair back and doing that. So whenever you are adding your line weight to a piece, you want to keep in mind where your objects are in relation to each other spatially, and you always want to make the line thicker on the object that is supposed to be behind the two objects that are being separated by that one line, if that makes sense. So see an area I'm working at right now. You can see coloring in the top of the teeth here. The teeth come out from underneath the mask, so I want the shadow to go onto the teeth, pushing the teeth backwards in space. And that's the type of methodology that I'm using. Again, here the chin is in front of the neck, so I need to push the neck back. So I'm going to shade onto the neck and make the line get thicker onto the neck to help push the neck back and pull the chin and the teeth forward. Here I am using the lasso tool to block in large areas of shadow. And then since this shade layer, this line weight layer is on a different layer above my single width line work, I may be able to erase back into it and get some nice texturing effects. I'm wanting to push the shoulder back behind the head there, so you can see as I'm widening that line art, I'm widening it onto the feathers and the shoulders to help push that face forward. Just working on the outline of the hair. Now I'm working on the shading on the arm, trying to push the arm behind the pectoral muscles. Realized I made a minor mistake on that shoulder there that I need to correct. Right now I'm starting to push his chest back and bring that arm forward. I'm going to do a lot of heavy shading on his abdomen because I don't want the eye to really focus there, and I didn't draw much detail there to begin with, so I just want to hint at an abdomen. You could really start to see when I zoom out from this piece how these outlines and reinforcing the basic and larger shapes of the Maxx's anatomy here is really starting to bring this piece to life. You can see, since I've already laid out the base anatomy and composition of this piece and was pretty happy with it, I'm no longer flipping back and forth as much. I'm just concentrating on the line work and trying to push and pull the shapes of his figure out now. You can see as I add line weight to these feathers, I'm only really addressing the side that I feel is closest to his pecs, and I'm not adding too much line weight to it because feathers by their nature are thin, so I don't want to make them bulky by giving them a thicker solid outline. So the material, what you're trying to draw, also has influence on how thick a line you want to give it, how much weight you want to give it. Now we're getting to the fun part. All of the line work is to a stage where I think it's for the most part done. I have my base layer of my kind of mono width line, and now I have my line variation in. This is the part where I address minor details that I've noticed throughout the piece, and I get to start adding fun stuff like texture and final details. Here I am just adding some hatching to the face and the eyes. I'm going to pay a lot of attention to the face and hands on this piece because those are what we care about the most when we look at a character, oddly enough, and they're also the most exaggerated and iconic parts of the Maxx. Right now, I'm starting to add, he kind of has like this weird Venom-ish splattered separation between his shoulders or his upper arms and his forearms, where his costume turns from purple to the bright yellow. If I remember correctly, the tip of his horn is always black, adding some hatching in there. And trying to add some of that like fluid separation. This is the part where I really get to have fun with an illustration. Reinforcing that wrist bend. Just adding some small hash marks to help define form. Here I'm using the lasso tool to shade in a large area of the canvas, and you see me use my eraser to cut out some shapes. Starting to add the top of the hand details, the knuckles and the hand bones in. End up erasing the bottom part of these. I'm starting to work on the splash liquid separation effect on his front arm. Here I switch to a way larger brush, and I'm gently dragging it across my stylus to help get a somewhat random effect to the line width and help illustrate the splatters just faster. And it also helps them look a little bit more organic than me trying to, with a small brush, pencil in each one. At this point I decided I wanted to add a couple little tears to his outfit. I'm drawing all of these newer elements on a layer on top of everything, so in case I don't like it or decide to change my mind, I don't destroy anything that I've previously done. Here I'm just adding a bunch of distress marks and trying to add a little bit of debris and grunge to his outfit to make it seem like, you know, a little battle damage, like he's been out in the wilderness for a while, a little dirty. And this is it for the piece. I'll post a final image of Maxx at the end of the video. I hope this video was beneficial to you. I hope it gave you a little bit of understanding of my process, maybe taught you a thing or two, or maybe gave you an idea of how to approach artwork of your own.